just have to
There we go.
pop up here.
Okay.
She's gonna pop up.
Okay,
Maybe.
okay. Let me just start it.
There she is.
Welcome back.
Frozen. Frozen.
Okay. Stacy, damn it. I don't care. I'm still so. Okay, first thing I want to say, I didn't say this last episode. We had a whole bunch of other stuff, but in my heart, I'm not lying. I thought for 2 seconds, I thought Lestat was saving him.
You did say that last episode, and all three of us went like this.
Wait, did I say?
And you did notice,
All three of us were like,
I didn't. Oh, I'm so good. But it's funny because I was thinking it to myself when I was watching the episode. I was like, I think Lestat's saving him, and then it cuts to Armand, and I'm like,
and you're like, oh,
Armand's saving. I was like, oh, so sweet, Armand. But initially, I was like, it's Lestat. Like, I'm like, wouldn't that? I was thinking to myself, wouldn't that be perfect? Like, he's doing all this stuff. He apologized, and like, it's so funny because I love Armand and Louis together. I do. I really, and even this episode, I still love Armand.
Yeah, I love how I can drop all my acts now and be like, no, Chanel.
I don't care. I still love Armand.
I don't care.
I
love Armand, but not together.
Okay, not together. That's what I meant. That's what I meant to say. I still love Armand.
Then I accept.
Yeah.
I still love Armand.
Yeah.
And so I still liked the idea of like, he saved Louis. Like, oh, how sweet. Like, I love. But my first instinct was like, redemption, Lestat.
Redemption.
Like, that was because he had just apologized, and like, even though it was such a terrible moment of like, Claudia's gonna die, Louis gonna die, like all of this stuff, I'm still like, it's still them. They're still endgame. Lestat and Louis are still endgame. And I was like, he saved him. Like he's, because we know out of the two strongest vampires are Lestat and Armand, obviously.
Yeah. And, in this theater, at least. Yeah.
Exactly. Yes. And so I'm like, and who would have the not the courage, but like the want to save Louis in that
gumption.
moment.
Who would have the audacity?
The audacity.
That's the word. And I was like, again,
that blonde bitch.
His love for him, like you said, kind of the audacity. And again, he had almost this like redemption because he's like realizing seeing their relationship, drawn out like that. He's like, I gotta save this guy.
Yeah.
So anyway.
It's like, oh fuck, I fucked up.
So anyway, I'm glad I told you guys, because I was like, I swear I'm being honest. I really did think that. And so I'm so happy because that's what happened.
It's immortalized. Yeah. No, I remember you saying that and me being like, but here's the thing. I watch so many reactors that they're talking out loud as they're watching. They're like, what's happening? Lestat? and then they go, Armand, oh good. They literally, their first thought is, what's Lestat doing? And then it does that. There's this beautiful, they do that flash over to Sam Reed being like, what's happening, and then everyone goes, oh, so not Lestat, and then it goes to Armand, and you're like, oh, Armand. But when they redo the scene in episode 8 and it goes to, flashing, and it's Armand doing the what's happening face, and Lestat is doing banishment, and his ear is bleeding because he's working so hard. Also, when you put the two images of him from episode 8 in that moment and him from episode 7 in that moment, when he's like, what's happening? He looks gorgeous in episode 7, as he did the entire episode. And he is dewy in a bad way, and under our eye circles in episode 8, like Louis has this memory of him like being this angelic figure that just walked on stage and was going to seek revenge, but like he was like struggling in, when you see him in episode 8, which is like Louis reframing how he remembers that and stuff. So
Or
it's
like
just
Armand saying that's actually,
yeah,
oh yeah, like, oh yeah,
yeah.
oops, I actually
All he did was curl his hair and walk on stage. It was
Mhm.
so easy for him to participate in this trial.
Mhm.
And there's I feel like we should do a segment at the end of this episode called "If You Don't Want Julie to Talk About Book Spoilers and Possibly Talk About." It's not even like how season 3 is gonna go, but like the questions that we can answer
Mm.
based on what Julie knows from the books, like, then stop listening now. Like,
Yes, because I want to talk about it. Yes.
because even just like what something you said right there, Chanel, I'd be like, well, in the books, you know, and like and be like, we're gonna see that trial again from Lestat's POV in season
Ugh,
3.
I
Like
cannot wait.
we're going to, and it's going to be completely different.
Right. Well, even
So
just getting like the behind the scenes of, right, we
yeah.
find that obviously Armand, like, he directed it,
Yeah.
and we get to see.
You gotta say it like Daniel said it. He directed it.
He didn't witness the play. He directed the play.
I know.
Daniel, my love. Just the
And
My
so-
vocal
drama.
stems.
So-
One of my vocal stems.
It was, well, okay,
Uh,
first of all, I also need to point out when we're seeing them like rehearsing the play, oh my God, Lestat with his hair pulled back.
the half
The
updo,
half pony.
half
bloody little
pony?
half up. That is,
I mean,
anytime I see him half up, half down, I go
oh,
feral.
I mean,
Little
I
half
honestly, I
pony?
think that was the sexiest he's ever looked.
And then he does that little spin when he's trying to be petty, and you realize that it's like not even secure. Like it's one of those like hot girl things where it's like it's a twist, it's like the hair itself was tied together to make it look like that.
Yeah.
There's no pins here, like I'm just like, you're such a slut. I love
Us
you.
mere mortals could never.
Never.
I literally,
Yeah.
I would gasp. I was like,
Birds tied your hair together this morning. Yeah.
yeah.
Little dinsy
Yes.
princess.
Yeah,
He looked
yeah,
astounding.
it looked amazing. But it was so amazing to see that, that again, like that point of view being like, oh, we get some more context here. They rehearsed it, like you said,
Yeah.
obviously with the notes in the margin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, fucking
Armand's
Armand.
point of view.
I
So-
love Armand's petty ass so much more the second time.
I know. That's what I mean. I'm like, I still love him. Like,
Yeah.
just, I mean,
No,
holding
I
on to
have-
that for 70 some years.
I know. What a cunning little liar.
Yeah.
And you know what? Honestly, we have to like go back to the top. But
I know. I'm sorry.
but he what I also love is that Louis looks at Daniel. No, Armand and Louis don't know that Daniel's got an ace up his sleeve and is about to blow shit up, right?
Mhm.
But Louis looks at Daniel and says, and that's the end of it. There's
I
nothing
know.
else. And like, and Daniel stops the tape, and like, and Armand andLouis are like,
Yeah,
we did it. We got through it.
We together.
we went
I
to-
like
we went
giddy
to
thinking
Egypt.
about this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Together.
And then-
a happy life,
but-
70 years, like blah, blah, blah.
But Armand couldn't help himself.
Mm-mm.
It's almost like the only guilt the only way he could, like, if he felt guilt about anything, he had to get it out, or he wanted to be like, he's so many layers, it could be any of these things, or it was one last stick it to Lestat, or one last like I won moment, but like he did love you, I can say that now.
Mhm.
Like, but like but that's the interesting thing. When we talked about episode 5, where San
Mhm.
Francisco interview
Mhm.
and Lestat's voice,
Mhm.
Louis has not heard Lestat say I love you since New Orleans. Louis went to Europe thinking the next time he sees Lestat, he's going to come back and kill me for revenge. And we all bought that. We were like, yeah, it makes sense. Like, it's like, give me the sexy murder love,
Yeah. Amen.
But what we learn in episode 5 that your brain can't even tease apart yet is that whatever happened in Paris, which we don't even know in episode 5, 23 years later, Lestat is saying, I love you, Louis. Do, you know, what's happened, you know,
Yeah.
what happened to you? Are you ill? Tell him that I love him. Like whatever's going on with him, tell him that I love him. And like Louis hasn't heard that. He thought Lestat came to Paris to kill him and Claudia, and it didn't go off the way he wanted it to. And then he disappears from his life again, and he goes back to New Orleans to live in a shack for 70 years, probably. And like, and like,
With
but
the
like,
raccoon.
the only
That fucking
person
raccoon.
who quote unquote knows that Lestat, that, you know, which is this little puzzle piece that could really click in, like for the audience, even watching episode 5, like it hurts to be like, to hear him say, I love you, Louis. And, you know, but like you piece it together and you're like, he still loves him after coming to Paris to kill him and Claudia dies, and then like Louis says, fuck you, I'm gonna be with Armand for the rest of our lives. And then it was like, bye. But like he, you know, like, and you're just like, there's
That doesn't
something
make sense.
missing.
Yeah,
That
that
doesn't make
doesn't make
sense. There's
sense.
something missing. Yeah.
And it also, because like watching like the after interview, Sam Reed also was like, it doesn't make sense to Lestat because Lestat left Paris thinking, oh yeah, like Louis knows everything. He knows I saved him. He knows that I obviously apologized. I wanted to whatever, make amends. And so he's thinking to himself, why the fuck is he going with Armand? You know what I mean? Like what's going on? Like why? But he's thinking that Louis knows all of this too, right? Like that I do love him. I'm sorry, blah, blah, blah. And so that's why obviously he left with that parting shot, like, well, hope it lasts. Like,
exactly. And like,
because
and I love that moment too. There's such a great joke that someone put online, is like, man, the interior mind conversations between Armand and Lestat as they walked up those stairs to confront him must have been wild. Like, you know, like it's like, did Armand be like, don't say anything, or else, you know, or like, you know,
or
like
not even say, or what if Armand's like talking to himself, like, I hope he doesn't say anything. I hope he doesn't say anything.
Don't say nothing, you know, or something. And like, and that's such a great, Louis says it in the reunion, like, why didn't you say anything? And there's theories, there may be things that actually come to light in season 3, but like, I like
Lestat saying, like, I just don't like to talk about virtue.
I don't like to put on my virtues, you know, and it's like
he's so humble.
As he holds his plank.
So emotional support plank. Yeah. He's the best. But it's just, I love that Armand thinks he got away with it. And then he says, he did love you, you know. And then that Daniel's like, thank you for that. You know, like, because then he says, why couldn't it have been Lestat? Armand just said it himself. He loves you as much, maybe. Like, you know, like, why not? And it's like he shot himself in the foot because he just couldn't help himself. And I love Armand.
I know. It's
I
like,
love his petty ass. Just still the Daniel part though.
Everyone is
so
petty.
He
directed the play.
Can I tell you, this is so random, but my favorite meme that has ever came out from the show of all time, it's when Louis driving back to New Orleans to see Lestat. This is so random. And someone made a meme and it's him looking out the window, just looking like forlorn. And it's like birds of a feathers playing in the background. And it says Louis on the way to get top for the first time in like 80 years or what?
There's another one that's just like that. It's like that exact frame, and it's like smelling his alpha on the wind. And I'm like, yes.
Well, okay. Let's talk about Louis. Okay. This is what I was like raging about in the group chat, but him going feral at the beginning of this episode.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the hottest I've ever seen him. Oh my god.
He's on the floor, just going crazy.
First of all, he was a little psychotic, but he was also very hot.
He's such a good actor.
They
all
felt
are.
it.
You just felt it when, like, I felt like I knew what he was feeling in that moment when he was doing. Like, I was like,
there's such
we got to do
mania.
it. We got to do it. Playing it out. Like, we're talking to the dead people. We're doing it.
Yeah.
We're fucking doing it.
And isn't it interesting that, like, obviously this random groundskeeper that he killed, like, doesn't mean anything to him like Lestat does, but like he could have been having a psychotic break chatting with Lestat, an established hallucination, but Lestat just killed their daughter. So you know, so it's like I don't have anyone to trust except for you, dead body. You know, like it's just like, and it's like, but it does call into question, like Daniel asks early in season 2, are you schizophrenic, Louis? You know, and it's like, I don't know, there
maybe
his brother was like, you know, like I don't know, runs in the family, and like and it's like he might continue to have episodes and issues with his mental health as it goes forward. And I think that's fascinating for Lestat's backstory personally. His first love of his life had a lot of mental health issues and depression, and like, so to have to, like, you know, if that becomes a theme again that he has to tackle, it's just like fabulous for the two of them to approach it together, and just, you know, whatever, it's just like really, it's really tense, it's really fraught, and I really enjoy that.
Another thing I wanted to point out is, again, so Louis' plan, right, is I'm going to take out the whole coven, but I'm also going to take out myself, right? Again, on the suicide mission, which we've talked about before, but it's involving Lestat, it's involving Claudia, right? Like, he's literally lost everything, right? This is almost at the worst, right? Claudia is officially gone. Lestat is gone, or he thinks, you know, he's ultimately betrayed. And so he's like, what do I gotta do? I'm gonna kill myself. Not only am I gonna kill all of them, I'm gonna kill myself as well. And it's just, it's also really sad on top of it, you know, being amazing.
But
amazing,
but it's like, I'm like, it's another time just like
another time where well, and you have such an excellent point, Chanel, that I actually haven't seen talked about often enough, but like, so if that was the plan, what changed the plan? Like, is it because you didn't get Sam, who is a Talamasca agent, you know, like you didn't get the vampire Sam, you were initially going to kill Armand, and then you were initially going to kill Lestat, and so you have these 3 that didn't get killed. Were you going to be knocking them off the list? Did you meet up with Armand and something changed, or were you just using Armand to figure out where Lestat was so you could kill Lestat? Maybe then you'd kill Armand, and then maybe we'd hunt down Sam, and then maybe it's my turn. Like, was did the mania rest after Santiago, or did, like, you know, like, but also there's just this, you know, fangirl aspect of me to be like, and you took one look at Lestat and was like, you don't get to fucking win. I'm gonna kill you worse than killing you. You know, like, you know,
I think that's what happened. I think confronting Lestat is, that he always changes the game.
Yeah, exactly.
Whenever they're face to face, you know what I mean?
And it's like, I know they weren't alone, but it was like the first time non-performatively that they were together
since however many years.
And like, and he, you know, and it's like it's like what Claudia said, like, you spend an hour alone with him and your heart starts sinking and, you know, beating in rhythm again, and you're just like
yes. And I think I think that's what it was. I think, and I think, you know, it's like, maybe it was worse to be like, well, stop. Guess what? I'm gonna kiss Armand. I'm gonna be with Armand. That's the way I'm gonna kill you, is go after your deepest insecurities, the way to hurt you. And he felt like that was how to get him. He chose to be with Armand. And they almost set it up, the writers, as like, Sam was just like an afterthought. Because I was thinking to myself too, who is the fourth person? They never really talked about it. Like, and it seemed almost like he was just so preoccupied with Armand and Lestat that it's like he almost like forgot about Sam. Like he was like, oh, okay, we're done with the mission because I got distracted, or
I met the final boss before I reached the Sam level, so
exactly.
yeah, which obviously came to bite Armand in the butt, but
I know they should have hunted down Sam together. I love that, like, Louis was like, I can't, then we do have the 70s, but he's like, I can't go on a suicide mission for myself because I have to hurt Lestat.
I have
like,
to get him.
If I can't kill Lestat, then I just have to hurt him for the rest of our lives.
Forever.
And
for eternity.
And I guess that means I have to live miserably as well, but as long as it's killing him.
To live for the spite of it all.
To live for the spite of it all.
I also loved Santiago's death.
Yeah. It was so great.
Scene. What a scene.
You know what I love too? That dialogue was rough. Like, but you're like, I mean, just go there if you're gonna go there. You know, like I was like, thank you. Just go there. Like when he was like, do you want to know what we did with her ashes? I was like, don't do this. Like I heard the final line coming. No pun intended. And and then he was like, we put her in the pepper shakers for the popcorn, and I was like, and then he keeps talking, and I'm like, I'm almost like, of course, thank you, writers, for just doing it. Like, just do it, you know,
just go for it.
But I loved it also because it was like the banter, if that's what you want to call it, back and forth was amazing, because obviously Santiago is, well, first of all, is trying to goad him, right? Like, and get under his skin because he knows what a close bond they have. And then Luke's just like, Francis. He's like, what's gonna get under Santiago's skin? His fucking name from
his name.
Like, he is so ashamed and has rage and just hates the human that he was, and being and hates his maker. And so he's like, what's gonna get him? Like, what? It's not this graphic scene and whatever else that he's obviously talking to me about Claudia. It's like, come to me, Francis.
Well, again, and then we get that crazy, that really great, like, Santiago was mimicking Louis' accent in episode 4, and then now, like, Louis gets his comeuppance, you know, or Santiago gets his, you know, in a way of like, he's like, I'm gonna perform my own little play over here, you know, which is really funny.
One-man show.
It's really funny because, like, that's like not like, you know, you just think back and it's like, you know, that like Lestat would like do little plays for like Louis and baby Claudia, you know, like, but like, you know, Louis probably was just like just sitting there clapping, like, you know, but like, and here he is, like, you want to go toe to toe, theater boy?
Here we go.
Yeah. I mean, but I also liked it too, because we always see Louis so, I feel like, impulsive and like a rage, but clearly this was very thought out and methodical. And he was like, he never gave in to, like I said, kind of the goading. He was like, no. It's obviously getting to him, but he's like, no, the best way to get him is to fucking stick to this plan and take his head off. And
literally,
I was like, like, props to Louis, instead of being, you know, so instinctual, impulsive, and, you know, and losing his head, which again we see throughout this entire show.
The race riot that got started when he which eventually resulted in him finding Claudia, you know, like it, like, he does a lot of, but he also had like plans that he was working with during that too. It just wasn't as like like, he was clearly doing every case scenario in the you know, with on the floor. Like, he was going through every possible option of, like, you know, and if this, then this, and, you know, but I loved the, there's my chapstick. I loved the, I love that entire section of, like, my rage and my madness, because you want to see all of them die. Like there was zero remorse. And like, this was a girl that they'd gotten to know too. Like, I know she says several times, I have no friends in the coven, but like, like you're like, but like she's a coworker at least.
Yeah.
They did take her in, like made vows.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, she was part of the group.
Yeah.
So that's awful. But okay. Can we talk about Daniel?
Yeah.
Always.
Oh my God. Ashley's been waiting.
I'm dying. Okay. So first
Isn't he
of all,
amazing? He's the
again,
best.
I also want to say
his little interview.
His interview. Okay.
Oh
yes.
I gasped when he picked up the book and I
you
saw his
it
fingers.
Then? Yeah.
I saw it then when he picked. I said, my mouth, my jaw. I was like this. I was like.
The first time I didn't see it, the first time I watched it, I knew you would catch it, but I didn't catch it the first time I watched it.
You didn't catch his nails. You didn't catch his nails. And then obviously I was like he's a vampire. And then he goes outside and like everyone's talking to Louis in their mind. And then they have Daniel like with a phone, and I'm like, he's talking in his mind. I'm like, they're communicating. And then he puts down the phone, and then he takes it. And I'm like, he's a
vampire.
I knew it. And it's amazing. I love it. And also it's just like, it had to have, like, Armand was there. You knew Armand was going to get him after he freaking ruined his relationship.
And there's so much to talk about with that.
There's so much to talk about.
But we'll wait for the do we want Julie to talk about the books section?
I don't want any spoilers.
Oh my God! So Chanel doesn't want to be a part of it.
No.
Chanel, no, I think
like
you
spoilers.
do, because it's not a spoiler. We don't actually know what season 3 is going to be. It's just like the context that we can come to season 3 with. Also, Chanel, you don't get to be a part of our group chat if you don't want spoilers. We have to keep up the other group chat, you guys.
Good.
Chanel, you had 50 years to read Anne Rice's books if you didn't want to be spoiled, my dude. 50 years? I don't know.
It is.
I haven't been spoiled this whole time.
You had 50 years. We'll see.
I haven't been spoiled this whole time, so I feel like I'm doing.
Maybe I can feed this to Chanel without her realizing it's spoilers. Maybe we'll see down the line how I can give this to her.
Stop. I'll just log off. And you guys can talk about it, but I don't want.
Chanel is so non-confrontational, except for about really weird, random things, and then it's like you can't budge her. Like she won't.
She won't watch Interview with a Vampire.
Until you're like threatening friendship on a trip. Like,
I just don't want spoilers.
I can't wait for Ashley to see her again and to like pin her down and be like, I'm gonna spoil it all for you right now.
We're doing it.
Because I loved it that I loved that I was so surprised that Daniel was a vampire. Like I didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
well, didn't see a sexy man getting turned into a vampire.
No, I thought he would
sexy man. No, I love.
That's the best feeling.
I mean, I'll attempt to respect your wishes. But I guess what I have to say is like there is going to be such, I think, interesting things to play with like Louis told Armand, don't do this. And is it just he was going for revenge on Daniel for being such a little bitch and revealing everything, or is there more to the story? There's just a lot of like, I have to put my phone on do not disturb. There's just a lot of great context within the show itself that I don't think is a spoiler, but it's like the things where like, I'm like, did you catch this? That did it like this, but we'll leave Chanel alone for now. The one thing that I do definitely want to, so I did re-listen to all the episodes about Here's What We Have to Talk About. I listened to it at 3 times speed.
I would love to hear my voice
Before you
3
do that,
times
one last
speed.
thing in this
Yeah.
episode I want to talk about is the like present day reunion of Louis and
Oh
Lestat.
yeah.
Oh, I
Okay,
mean,
we
let's
gotta
talk the whole episode
finish.
about it.
Oh,
I
it's
mean,
just
a
the
whole,
rest.
it's like that scene itself is like an entire romance book into like a few
Amazing.
seconds or
God.
however long it
Amazing.
was.
Okay, I'll
Chills.
admit,
Just
I'll
the
admit,
3 of them. It was so perfect.
I
Him and the
cried.
plank and Louis. Oh,
I
you did?
The
I
plank.
cried.
I wanted to know. I was actually gonna ask Chanel. I was like, "Did you cry?"
I
Okay.
cried. Like, come on. They're like
How
reuniting.
I know.
That's the most sincere they have ever been with
Yeah.
each other.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
they admitted
Well,
they
I was
ahead.
gonna say, you just met Lestat for the first time.
Yes.
Yeah.
We
Like,
have
he's
like
alive present day.
and
Yeah.
Chanel.
This is real time happening.
Never
The
met.
first
This
time.
isn't through Louis' POV of things. You know,
This
it's
is the
like
first time we're meeting him. Also, it's
Yeah.
present day.
Yeah.
Like, so because honestly, I was like, is he dead? Like, we don't even know if he's alive.
You didn't even know. Yeah.
So you're totally right. I was like, this is Louis present day. This is him present day. They're up together. We're seeing it's not like, so that was a revelation. But also it's the first time they're being, I feel like, the most sincere. They're like apologizing. They're reconnecting.
They're mourning a loss of a child, and it's like,
Yes.
Sam Reed was so amazing in that scene when
so
he was
amazing. So amazing.
I can't.
But also, I feel like very true to their characters because Sam's like, to that random ass dude, like, get out, he was all attention on Louis, know, but also I feel like they had matured, right, in themselves, right? Like Louis was calm and like rational and even like Lestat was, and I don't know, it was crying. It's like,
well, and we might have seen this if he hadn't run to Europe but essentially there is a complete shift in the power dynamic of that relationship. Lestat always had the power, or at least that's how Louis viewed it. I would argue Louis had the emotional power over the entire relationship, that he had things that he withheld and didn't give him. But and he held on to that power, but like Lestat had so much physical power and supernatural power and all this stuff. And like, I think after he kills him on Mardi Gras, like, it's like, he have stuck around, I think we would have seen a power shift, like it would have been like, you're right, mon cher. Like I think he learned his fucking lesson.
And he needed that lesson.
He needed that lesson.
Yeah, it was, and I also liked one that we didn't get to hear all the conversation. Like, they kind of had this like intimate embrace that we didn't get to hear, or see everything. And 2, I thought it was very symbolic that all of it's happening during a hurricane, where I felt very, it's
symbolic. It's such a metaphor.
The relationship.
And that hurricanes are so particular to New Orleans. I know that hurricanes happen everywhere, but like it's such a part of life there. And like, also, so my 2 favorite things to add to this is that in the previous episode, Armand said, Lestat went off script. You cannot script a hurricane. And and you're just like, oh, what now? Because we got one of those coming. And then when Louis checks into the hotel, he signs a hurricane waiver. He waives all liability. He accepts all liability for his actions to walk into the hurricane again. And it's like he's choosing the risk. And I'm just like, yes, they are the hurricane. And like, he's accepting all risk, and it's just gorgeous. And I love, so I remember Allie Hazelwood was watching it. She texted me, she goes, where was Lestat at the end? Why aren't they together?
That was me.
Yeah.
Where the fuck is he?
I know.
Is he?
Yeah. And it's like, why did you go back to Dubai, Louis? Just like buy a new place. But it is so
that place
lovely.
sucks.
I know he sucks, but it's so lovely that he added color to the penthouse, and Louis himself is in color. Like he's wearing like Claudia yellow, and like the
her dress
couches
is
are
up.
yellow.
His
Yeah.
brother's pictures up. Like
It's gorgeous. Yeah.
yes, which so obviously shows either how much control Armand had or how
Right.
muted it was, or almost
Yeah.
I think you kind of said I can't remember if it was you, Julie, or Stacy said that it's like almost like a prison living in that penthouse.
I think it's just like how depressed he was, even without like just living in that state. Yeah.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
But yeah, you could definitely tell when he's back there again. It's like almost like revitalized. But there was definitely someone missing.
It was, I know, but like that's, I also just love Lou. Well, and that's what I love about good writing. It's like, okay, we're piecing, we're finding our way back to each other, but like you have to tune in for season 3 for to really understand. Like, you know, Lestat's absence from the penthouse is like, it can be many things, because this is probably like 18 months after the hurricane, because Daniel had to write the book and the arcs had to cut. Well, and it's already been sold, you know, so it's like they're on sale, and you know he's promoting it, which is wild because like my author friends, like anytime they like say something correct about publishing, we're like, oh, this show is great.
That's when we watch medical shows. We're like, oh, they got it right.
They did it. Yay,
they know
team.
someone.
I
That's
know.
an author.
They had a consult. Yeah. And like, so it's been 18 months probably. And what we know is that this isn't a spoiler. I'm gonna keep saying that, Chanel, don't log off. Season 1 took place in 2022, because that's when season 1 aired, and like season 2 aired in 2024, but it was clearly like days later, hours later, you know, in the present day stuff, you know what I mean? And then now season 3 is coming in 2026, and it takes place in 2026. So like the scenes with Daniel on book tour and talking to Louis on the vampire hotline might have taken place in 2024, you know, like around the time, like might have been like literally a present. Yeah. Like when it aired, you know, type thing. And then 2026, which is such a fascinating thing, because vampires' lives, you know, as we know from the New Orleans years, they just like
are so quick.
They're so, you know, they think years, decades go by like years, and it's like, well, yeah, 4 years later, where are we? You know?
Yeah, same place.
Yeah,
same
and it's
place.
like same place we always were. But I really appreciate that the show gave you exactly what you needed at the ending with Lestat and Louis, but didn't give you what you wanted, you know, which I'm like, where's the mouth kiss? Kiss on the mouth, you assholes, you know, like
it was just enough.
There's
because the other question is like, where's Armand? Like, what's going on with him?
Yeah,
right?
where the fuck is Armand, dude? Probably doing some bullshit somewhere.
I know.
Probably doing some bullshit. Speaking of, not to go back to my boy Daniel real fast, but speaking of Armand, and this is not a spoiler, can we just recognize how powerful Daniel must be, though? Because Armand's never made another vampire. And we had talked before, like, this blood ain't diluted. This guy is like so powerful right now. And rightfully so.
He better crash out.
Rightfully so.
He better be crashing out. Like, he better be like,
I know.
Well, and here's the interesting thing too, and like fic writers play with this, is like he was also an addict.
Yes.
So like he
has a control issue.
He has control issues, and he has obsessive tendencies. And like, he's gonna have some trouble. but it is intriguing too, that like what we're probably assuming Armand made him a vampire and like disappeared and was never to be seen again, type thing, right? You know, in terms of like who raised him, you know, like Louis probably came home and raised Daniel, right? In that same way of like, you know, he got all the tips and trips from literally the interview, but like, you know, like where's the older vampire who's like, stop hunting them? You know, so it's like but it is kind of, it'll be fascinating in a way that like Louis and Claudia had had a maker who was giving them instruction and like talking about they were mad. Claudia was mad that he didn't give her all the answers, but like was raising her at least. And then it's like on the flip side, we know Lestat wasn't raised. His maker jumped in a fire before he could tell him anything. And now it's like Daniel isn't being raised by his maker. And I don't mean to call this like into weird like father-son relationships, you know what I mean? But that type of like mentorship that Louis talks about on the show, where he was my mentor, my murderer, and my maker, and like, so it's just going to be really fascinating to watch Daniel, like how he interacts with Armand going forward, should they cross paths, and like what he's the kind of vampire he just wants to be. Because that like if Louis is like, don't do that, he can be like, I do what I want, bitch. Like,
I'm stronger than you.
I'm stronger than you. He can probably fucking fly. When Louis can't, it's there. I cannot wait to see what they do with Daniel.
And the other thing too, I mean, I know Louis is taking all the heat for the book, being published, but like once they find out that Daniel's a vampire, is he gonna get, I mean, because he's technically revealing all the secrets, everything. I mean,
he's breaking the laws.
Yeah, Louis the vampire, but technically
he's the interview.
He's the vampire too. He wasn't when the interview took place, but I'm like, he's technically giving away all of these secrets as well, so like I said, right now Louis is taking flack, but it'll be interesting if that comes about where Daniel kind of gets some of the heat, I guess. But anyway, so yeah, but
it's true.
But yeah, that's gonna be really interesting, Daniel and Armand in the future, on top of just getting to see what Louis and Lestat do. But okay, what do we need to come back to?
Let me see the comeback around stuff. Well, some of it Chanel doesn't want to hear, so let me just.
Oh my God, stop.
Yeah.
Hearing this up. Oh, going back to, we can talk about this now that we've seen the whole thing. Remember when Raglan James says, "You fear Armand, you should fear the other one." Like, like I don't think he means Lestat, because Lestat's been doing jack shit. I think he means Louis. And like the why he means Louis can just be like, contextually, he likes to slaughter humans randomly.
He likes the violence.
He's extremely violent when provoked. And he likes to take revenge.
Temper,
but it's funny because like I consider, even before, there's that great moment. I dropped another thing, you guys. I need a fidget spinner probably. But like there's that fabulous moment that I love, where right after he throws Armand into the wall, he tells Daniel, like, I'll have a plane send you home and I'll have 10 million wired into your account. And he steps forward to shake Daniel's hand, and
Daniel steps back.
Jacob improvised that. So that was Eric's actual reaction of like, what are you doing? Like, and then like reaching forward and taking his hand. And I love that, because and then you feel it at I call it the epilogue, too, of like, it's like Daniel's turned into this like bratty little brother, who's like, what are you doing? What are you doing now? When are you coming back to the States? Have you read my book? I'm really proud of it.
You haven't read it yet.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, I feel like I felt those vibes when they connected in episode 5 and were like trauma bonding over this like, Armand situation. But like, I feel like when Raglan says like, if he's saying you should fear Louis, it's like, it's interesting, because I'm like, well, not Daniel, because they're besties, like, but like, so it is it's still intriguing. I'm still interested to see if Raglan, being someone who surveils vampires for a living, just knows more and just.
Well, I think at that point, Louis probably, when he said that to Daniel, Louis did seem like the more dangerous one, right?
Yeah.
Armand had never made a vampire before. Like,
Yeah.
we didn't know the whole truth. Maybe
Yeah.
they didn't. Well, the Talamasca did, but like Daniel didn't know the whole truth about Armand. And so I think from that standpoint, it looked like Louis was the more dangerous one. But
Yeah.
who ends up turning Daniel is Armand, So
Yeah.
I think I think we need to remember they're both vampires. I think they're both dangerous, right? Like
Yeah.
I don't think you can, kind of turn your backs on
Yeah.
either one
Yeah.
of them, no matter how friendly they are. But
Exactly. But I do appreciate the same thing you were saying in the episode 6 episode, Chanel, that like the writing's so good because it could have just said, you fear Armand, you should fear Louis. No, it didn't say that, like there could be a fourth vampire somewhere. That like there, and there's plenty of options like that. So very funny. I think I hear my dog barking. I don't know if you all hear that through the microphone. But yeah, I think it's so that was one thing to come back around to, that I still think that's just a very interesting.
It's good writing. It's good writing.
Yeah. Now that we know all of Armand's sins in this way, what do we think about those types of moments where it's like, Louis, you asked me to take your memory of the time you tried to kill yourself. It's like, I love that that's still such a complex, like, well, I still don't know the answer, but I certainly have an opinion of like, and like those times when like, at the end of episode 4, they were in a screaming match with each other. And the top of episode 5, they're smiling at each other like they're in the honeymoon period. And it's like, I don't think that was the natural conclusion to the fight. And I just think I think that was not the only time that he tampered with Louis's brain.
I agree.
And for his own purposes, or because Louis asked him to, maybe. But like, but I think when you have that kind of power, and like it's as easy as like Control Alt Delete, like it's like sometimes you're gonna do it. And so there's that moment again at the cafe in episode 6 with Madeline and Claudia, where Claudia says, thank you, Armand, for never treating me like a child. And like the two of them are like smiling at each other. And I'm like, whose memory is this? Because I'm not sure Claudia cares at all about Armand. He shoved her up against the pillar and threatened her. And he took Louis from her. And they also just never got on.
Well,
and
he literally made her perform as a little baby.
Yes. Like that is just not accurate.
That was the first thing that came in my mind. I'm like,
the phrase "you never treated me like a child" is just not accurate. He, and I'm not saying he messed with Claudia's memory, necessarily, because that doesn't serve him. He was going to kill her. I think this is not. I think this is a very idealized version of how that cafe scene went. And like, it does feel like Thanksgiving dinner and like, God bless us, everyone, like, but like, there are just so many pieces. And then there's phrases that Louis, I was mentioning this earlier, I know because I re-listened to all the podcast episodes, like where Louis just says little phrases about Paris and about things that he enjoys and things like that, where I'm just like, this is so performative. Like there's things where I'm just like, I'm glad you found joy in life after Lestat and in Paris, but like, you're like talking about like, it was specifically when he was like, whenever Armand and I debated philosophy together, like I loved I just loved the idea of there's just these weird phrases that he says, and it's funny because the camera is actually focused on Daniel because that's when Raglan's like hacking, and so it's like it's like Louis just like creating this dream
And he's
scenario
talking in
over
the
top.
background. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
like, and when you start paying attention to things, you're like, why did you like Paris at all? Like I
at
understand.
all.
Yeah, like I understand that like New Orleans carried its own trauma and you still spoke lovingly about that, but like you liked Paris?
Like, I think you're right. It's like super performative. Because it happens again, obviously, right before it all falls apart, where they're both like, "Yeah, we had a great 70 years. We went to New York and Paris and
Yeah.
San Francisco." And then I
He's
literally
like, was it?
thinking in my head, I
Because
was like, "Daniel, you were in San Francisco. That was terrible." Like,
yeah,
Yeah.
he was
I was
fucking
like,
all
Louis
those
was
dudes in
not
San
doing great.
Francisco.
yes,
Yeah,
he was
he
effing
tried to kill
everybody.
himself.
I
Yes, tried
know.
to
But
kill
it's
himself.
wonderful, you guys. They
Effing
just really loved
sabotages.
each other.
He literally said Armand was not interesting, fascinating, and the whole time they couldn't even say
What
Lestat's
does he call
name.
him? Like
Yeah.
something beige? What does he
Yeah.
call him? He calls
Yeah,
him
The world's
something.
beigest
ages.
pillow.
Yeah,
Pillow. That's pillow. I was gonna say
Suffocation.
couch.
Suffocation by the world's beigest pillow. Yeah.
so I'm
Like that
like,
is the worst. And like I cannot
Yeah.
think of a worse insult. Seriously.
Have
Like
your
what
partner
great
call you boring. Yeah.
a
Yeah.
beige pillow.
but they're like, yep, it was amazing. We had 70
Yeah.
good years.
We
Like, oh,
got through those bad years and that was just a rough spot you found us in San Francisco. And I'm like, 77 years of that
mhm.
kind of
But
resentment.
that has literally been going on the entire interview. Like you said, very performative, very much.
Yeah.
Whether it's because Armand like either edited memories
Yeah.
or what I like to think is that he is almost like, since he is so powerful, like he's almost like forcing it onto Louis to be like, whether it's like, don't think about the bad memories or like
Yeah.
just focus on when we were walking in the park or remember
Yeah.
all these good times, like forcing him to focus on the good times together.
Yeah.
So
Well,
then
and
brings
there's
it.
the things they established in season 1 too, when like he triggers Daniel's Parkinson's and like Rashid comes in and is like, sometimes Mr. Duloc gets emotional. And like he like puts his hand on Louis' shoulder and Louis like releases. And you're just like, why?
Yeah, why?
Like, does this happen often? Is Armand your sedative? In good ways and bad ways. Like, like he's just he's a sedated housewife is what he feels like the entire interview. I would love if someone could get my dog to stop barking, by the way. So I don't
They just want to be a part of the episode.
Yes.
Charlie just
he needs
wants
Armand to come in
he
and call
says, yeah, exactly. Sometimes Charlie gets, yeah. But yeah, I love everything about everything. But the I feel like I feel like what I love too is like Daniel going to the Talamasca organization and being like, do you happen to have an original script from the trial? Like, because
No
Armand
joke.
presents
Yeah.
him a script.
Mhm.
Armand like gives him like, and who knows how much back and forth Daniel and Raglan had about like who's your contact? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or like, do you have some, or if Raglan was like, we happen to have someone who was there, so you let me know if you need anything. But like he just,
inside job.
yeah, like Armand like presents this script. He's like, here's one of the scripts that, we held on to it, and like there's no notes on it or anything. But then like Daniel gets like, and what I love too is when you rewatch that, like Rashid delivers the paper. And then like Daniel literally, the two of them are doing he loved you, I can say that now. And Daniel is like literally like looking at the two of them. He takes like he turns 2 pages in that script, sees the red writing that must clearly be director's writing, closes the newspaper and is like, can I ask some more questions? And I was like, he didn't need anything. He just needed one piece of corroborating evidence because he had this entire theory laid out. Like
he directed it.
He directed that play. Like that's what I love, is that Daniel did not need to build the case.
Yeah.
He just needed one piece of, like, he knew from all the way back, or at least from episode 5, that this doesn't work. This is not.
He wasn't buying into
how it laid down.
Just watching them, even like I kind of felt this the first time, but even watching them the second time through, Armand and Louis together, it's like that couple that clearly hates each other, but then they post all this stuff on Facebook and Instagram about how much they love each other. It's like these people don't even like each other. So like I don't understand what's happening here. Just wild.
I don't think it's that far-fetched. I think it's a couple that's like, they liked each other at one point. They've gotten into this.
But when did they like each other? Like, let's go back to the beginning. They didn't like each other. They just both love Lestat. Like, there is
which is another interesting theory. It's like, I'd love to hear some more from Armand actually telling the truth about anything for once, and see if he only was interested in Louis because he wanted to find out what interested Lestat. You know, like maybe originally, and I think there is genuine love and like companionship between the two of them, but like was he even interested in Louis, or did he just smell Lestat all over him and was like, who's this bitch? You know, like because there's, you know,
only
there's
connection
like
to Lestat left.
And exactly. And Lestat, you know, in Armand's little fan fiction, you know, he left me high and dry, you know, and it's like, and there's just so much more to that as well. And it's just like, and like
hurt feelings. And so he's like, well, he left this guy. What did he see in this guy? Maybe I can find out more.
What makes you fascinating? Maybe it's the exact same conversation of like, no one ever poor Armand and Claudia could have had some conversations. No one ever chooses me. No one ever chooses me. But like, what makes you fascinating that like you're chosen over me by the person that I want?
Very true, because you could see, I mean, granted, Louis has a lot of emotional issues anyway, but you could see that he never officially chooses Armand anyway, right? Like he never wants to put a label on it, never, you know, is always fighting about Claudia, right? It's never, you know, kind of hidden in the shadows, right? They can't talk about it in the coven. And so, you know, he still never really chooses Armand, even though Claudia thinks he does. And you know, it's for a host of reasons, but number one, we're going to say, is Lestat, you know, because there's just this lingering, you know, dream stuff in between them. And so I can definitely see Armand being like, well, why? Why can't you commit to me? Why can't you, you know? So,
Which, speaking of Dreamstot, I think we talked about it last episode, but when he shows up in present day in Dubai as Dreamstot, you know, like, I just think it's such a, especially with all the pieces of the puzzle, because like, well, here's the thing, like Louis never sought him out. Like Louis after Paris, Louis is like, what will hurt Lestat the most? I want to hurt Lestat, and what will hurt him is being with Armand. We take I want to hurt Lestat and being with Armand out of the equation in one fell swoop, and Louis on a fucking plane. You know, like and it's just so
and
wonderful.
I also like that, like, because I was thinking to myself, well, where's he going? How does he know where? And it's like, duh, he's in New Orleans. Like, like
he was going to start there.
He's at home.
Least.
He's at home. Where you met, where his like, I mean, even like Lestat said, like, I went back home. Like, it's his, even though he's freaking from Europe.
I know.
He's like, where am I going to go? I'm going to go to New Orleans.
Yeah, where I was happiest.
Home. Yeah. That's where we made our home and had our child. Like, because I'm thinking to myself, how in the world does he know where this dude is?
I know. Well, and you know, you could be less of a romantic and be like, Louis was on a quest to refine himself, so he started in New Orleans, and he just so happened to be like,
to run into him. His ex.
He's like, I think I smell Lestat on the wind, but you're just like, I don't know. But like I love the haunted New Orleans tour that he was on. Like what a choice. Like what a crazy choice. And then I also love just Louis just like laughing about it too. And just like it's like these details are wrong, but what you're gonna do, like
fine.
and it's just so cute. But like with Louis and trying to like hurt Lestat and like be with Armand, and then you take away those two things, it's like the thing about Dreamstat showing up in Dubai is that it just tells you that like he has tried for years to hate Lestat for killing Claudia. And the fact that Dreamstat is still popping up in present day, to me means that it never worked. Like he probably hates himself that he still feels this way about Claudia's murderer. Like, and it's just and there's so I'll say this, I don't think this is a spoiler, Chanel, because if you were to watch this show 7 times, I think you would see it.
Okay.
Like it's not like you only know this from the books. Like, this is like I don't believe Lestat was at the trial of his own free will. I do not think he crossed the ocean to be a part of the trial and then changed his mind and started apologizing. I think because Lestat, even when he's like describing Claudia's turning, which is a grievous sin that they are like trying to convict them of being like, you cannot turn a child. And Lestat's like, well, I'm the one who broke the second law. So when you try them for their crimes, you need to try me too. And like, that didn't seem like a random choice he was making in that moment. Like, I think
because that threw them all off.
Yeah. They like turned off the projections. Yes, they were like, this is not in the script. This is not, And like, so I think he was doing everything in his power to subvert the trial the entire time.
I saw that and I believe that.
Yeah.
Which again, that part, the apology, obviously getting sidetracked by Louis, right? Just being there, being hurt.
Yeah.
I had questions about that too, where I was like, it seemed they wanted to make it seem like he was part of it, but I was like, I don't know. I just couldn't. Again, I couldn't buy into it because I'm like, why would you come with this idea of revenge?
And then well, especially when you piece it all together of like, I love you, Louis. Armand, tell him that I love him. Like you piece it all together with that, and then you piece it together with like, did you hurt yourself? And and like the reunion, and you're just like, he never stopped loving him. He never would have come across the ocean to kill Louis. He would have come across the ocean to save Louis. Like if he knew there was
or maybe he came across the ocean to confront him or hurt him or like,
or just follow him. There could be any number of things that, exactly.
But I don't think orchestrating this whole trial, doing, I don't believe that either.
And like even that scene of him rehearsing, it's like, and now you stand from your chair, and and he does the petty twirl, and he's just so mad. He's not into it. He doesn't like the script. He doesn't like the direction, like he and Armand have a very complicated past, of course. So like it could just be exes being petty, but like he's like your script sucks. Like you're not going to be able to hold Claudia back. Trust me, and so another thing that, again, when I say these things, I truly think if you watch it 7 times, you would come to me and say, why was it like this? And so I'm just going to pose the question now, Chanel.
Oh, gosh.
Why was Madeline's brain being scrambled? Like,
I still don't know why. I still don't. I don't want you to tell me. I don't know why.
But I don't think
Was
I can
question.
tell. I don't actually have the answer. Can I just tell you my hypothesis? Like this
Oh
is
yeah,
not this
yeah.
is not a spoiler from the books. My
Mhm.
hypothesis is that of the three people on trial, Madeline was the only person Lestat could communicate to in her brain. And so the
Because he
coven,
didn't make her. Yeah.
yeah, so the coven was scrambling her so they could not communicate.
Mm.
And it's like,
That would make sense.
why would he want to communicate with her if not to like try to fix this thing? You know, like
Mhm.
he's like, I
I
don't know
thought
this. Yeah.
I thought maybe because she didn't actually like commit a crime.
Right.
Like, I
Could
mean,
be.
technically, right, Claudia
She
is
didn't
like
need to
this.
be lucid for the trial. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, but I mean, that could also be the other thing. Like, okay, like technically, right, like Louis committed a crime, Claudia committed a crime, but like if they hadn't like
Yeah.
scrambled her brains or like you said, to go in conjunction with like having Lestat talk with her, then she could be like, I plead her case. Hey, I didn't actually do
Yeah.
anything, work with Lestat, and then,
Yeah.
you know, they can get free and somehow save
Yeah.
Claudia and Louis. But yeah, I mean that also
Yeah.
is a
So it's,
good
yeah.
theory.
Without spoilers, I'll just say it is my theory hypothesis that he was not performing in the trial of his own free will. And when you watch pulled back shots, like anything that is not a close up of Sam Reed, which is funny because like that would be how Louis saw him, was a close up because they were close, right? But like when the camera's like at the back of the house and you're like, you know, looking at it differently, there are certain takes where Sam Reed is like falling asleep in the chair. And he's standing at one point and like he almost falls over. And it's all when you're in a wide shot. It's completely pulled back. So like it's not Louis's memory. These are just like pieces that you can pull back together into out of a subjective narrative into a broader objective narrative that we may get later, you know? And it's
Yeah.
just brilliant TV making.
Yeah.
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 So yeah, those are my
Yeah.
only things that aren't spoilers. Daniel Malloy spoilers for Chanel.
Thank
I
you.
love it.
But no, it'll be like super interesting to go back and like watch little detail, like
Yeah.
especially catch little details, because obviously I'm like just trying to catch all like the dialogue and see like
Yeah.
the main parts.
Yeah. Well,
But
now I get to send you all of my TikTok edits. I get to send you every time that they set this show to Taylor Swift and
Oh, it's
Just the
incredible.
best.
oh my God, just no spoilers. That's like
no
it's
spoilers.
nothing.
It's just so funny
Yeah.
because Chanel's like such the direct opposite of me and Ashley, where we're like looking up how
I want to
show
know how it
ends.
ends.
I've known how The Last of Us is going to end
Oh
since
yeah.
the first episode. People are like, "Oh, it's all out in the game." I was like, "Let me look all this up on Wikipedia right now."
No,
Yeah.
I don't understand. Like I love being
Yeah.
surprised. I love
I
like because
love
I
being
like to piece
surprised. Yeah.
things together. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
I got that. I got that. Oh, I missed that. Like that's
Yeah.
my favorite part.
I
Like,
love being surprised, but I also just love being in a fandom when it's popping off. So like
Yeah.
the idea of like all the people who I like follow on Twitter, who I like, you know, the Reddit forum for Interview with the Vampire, the Instagram accounts that like every time they're like, they're gonna be again filming in June, you know, like I'm just like I can't imagine unfollowing all of those because they're going to start like seeing people filming in Toronto and
Yeah.
taking pictures of it, and then I'm going to not like I'm going to get spoiled. And so I prefer being part of a fandom so much more. And also I also think the show, because so much changes from the books, and like I was saying, there was no trial in the books. Like it's so like it like this idea of like Lestat saving Louis at the trial was actually still shocking to book readers. Like they were like, why didn't Lestat save him? Maybe Lestat saved him. Like like that's how like book readers would have like read that and interpreted that, scene. Yeah. And they're like, oh, Armand saved him, which like I guess that's why they're explaining why they're still together. Like you're gaslighting yourself into figuring out why you would ever want to be with Armand. I still love him.
Love him forever.
So it's like, yeah. So like I know that I'm gonna be surprised still, but I do need to see all the filming updates.
Yeah. I get that. I get your point of view. I definitely. I love getting the prize. So you'll still get my genuine reactions.
This will be great. Yeah. Chanel's like, I'm thinking of the podcast. The rest of you are just selfish.
Which is true. That's a fair take.
You'll still get my genuine reactions. But I'm like that with anything, with books, like, I literally will not. But like the second I know it, then I'm like all over social media.
Yeah.
She won't even watch a teaser trailer for the new Hunger Games movie.
Yeah, no. Oh God,
a teaser trailer. There's not even anything in it. She doesn't watch any trailers.
I don't do any trailers. No. I mean, like, if it's like, like a random ass movie, like Sinners or whatever, I watch like the trailer for that. But like, if it's something that I'm like, I have to read the book first and then watch the movie.
You want to get the context here or something.
Yes, no spoilers. So
perfect.
Yeah.
Man, oh man.
One of those.
Yeah. I love it.
But yeah, oh my gosh, this was so good.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad you cried. Like that's all I can say.
Yeah.
I gasped. I cried. I laughed. Oh my God. It had everything.
Yeah.
It had everything.
Yeah. I won't take too long, but I feel like I want to take like 5 to 10 minutes of like with Chanel logged off talking about spoilers.
Okay. All right. Bye guys. Bye everyone.
Chanel, talk to you later.
Good night.
Wait for it to process. Okay.
It's because it's processing right now.
Great. So you'll splice it together and I will go.
I'll put it together.
So Armand is fucking that old man next season.
I know. I actually know Chanel's personality, and I still was like, damn, it didn't hit me until she said she didn't want to know that we weren't going to get to tell her.
I was like, there's so much that I've been holding back about Armand and Daniel. And I'm like, oh man, Chanel. There's so many memes I can't send her.
I know.
No, but like it will be fun to like have her like be shocked with the rest of the world. So if anyone doesn't want to know like what is absolutely happening in season 3, go away. But Armand is fucking that old man.
100%.
So for the listeners, canonically in the book, Armand and Daniel had like a decade-long relationship after the initial interview. It was like 12 years, I think. And it started off with like Armand, like Daniel stumbles on Armand, and then like Armand like won't leave him alone. And it actually has echoes of like, you're fascinating, to it, which is really great. And like, so Armand, like after the 1970s interview, like follows Daniel around the world. It takes Daniel several years to realize they're dating. He's not being stalked. He'll wake up in the middle of the night and Armand is like standing over his bed being like, how do you call internationally on this telephone? How does a telephone work? This is insane. Tell me everything about it. And he'll be like experimenting with blenders. Like he'll be like, do you know you can blend things other than fruits? And it's like, what are you blending? And like, and it's just like, he's like trying to discover what humanity is doing in the moment through Daniel. He's like, explain this to me, and there's even some great like moments where like Daniel gets arrested and Armand just walks in like, hi, I'm his lawyer. And it's just good drama. And so I think that's also why they cast such a fabulous actor as young Daniel. Because I do think that they will be this idea of their relationship. I think it's already happened and Armand has erased it. And and there's a lot of evidence for it, but but in general, the Armand and Daniel are probably end game in this show. And the actors are fully playing into it at this point. Like Eric Bogosian is extremely excited.
Oh my God. I'm so excited. That would make so much sense too,
Yeah.
like who they cast for the younger Daniel. Like, because that
Yeah.
guy's got to be a bigger part than just like 2 episodes.
He's so good. Yeah. So I think we're gonna see a lot more of him, if not an entire episode, type
Yeah.
thing where we like, we either spend we in the way that we did season 2 episode 5, where it's like, and we're now spending a lot of time on this one storyline.
Hmm.
But to answer one of Chanel's earlier questions, I think, we all know that Parkinson's is not caused by certain things, but with the amount of times that Armand has possibly erased Daniel's memory, tampered with his
Yes.
brain,
Hmm.
I think it's highly possible that Armand is the cause of the Parkinson's, and not on purpose, but and I think it also raises a lot of questions about why this second interview happened. Armand says several times, or Louis says, Armand didn't want me to do this second interview, Daniel, and it's like, and then Armand's like, you're chronicling a suicide by, all the other vampires are going to want to kill him. And it's like, well,
Hmm.
Armand, just don't let him do it. Like, I don't
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah.
And I think it was probably in some way Armand's idea to do this second interview to bring Daniel back into his life. Especially when he heard that he was sick and dying of Parkinson's. So I think the idea that Armand wanted to turn Daniel into a vampire, but possibly not himself, he wanted Louis to turn Daniel into a vampire, is probably why the second interview happened. Whether Louis knew that was Armand's plan or not, so there's so much textual evidence for you
Yeah,
guys.
I love that theory. I think that's all of
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. And it also answers the question, like, why isn't Armand just like dipping into Daniel's mind to like figure
Hmm.
out like what he's doing on his computer, and like why didn't Armand
Exactly.
see all of this coming? And I think it's because it's highly possible he can't go into Daniel's mind anymore because he's fucked with it too much. Like, I
Hmm.
think it's almost like he'll mess with his perfectly crafted little structure.
Hmm.
And like that also is interesting too, that like Louis goes into Daniel's mind to like rile him up about his first wife, and like you proposed to her on the street and she said no, all of this. But in that scene, Daniel has a memory of Armand in 1973. Like, that's the first time we get the flash. So
Hmm.
like Louis is in Daniel's mind messing around, and suddenly like the perfectly structured like mind erasure that Armand did starts to like shift, and he can remember 1973.
Hmm.
And so I just think that is why we can't go into Daniel's mind and figure out what he's up to.
Hmm.
Or else all the the house of
Yeah,
cards will fall.
that makes sense.
Yeah. So those were like the two talking points I wanted to say in regards to like, we'll have to talk about this at the end. And now she'll never know the
Chanel.
answers.
Gotta wait through season 3. Now we're gonna have to wait. I know. And that's if they bring it all up in season 3. I know.
They will, I feel like but it will actually also be delicious for Chanel to be like, oh my God, they were in love.
And we're gonna be
And
like, we wanted to tell you a year
we
ago.
knew this.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. The only thing I wanted to ask her tonight was like, do you think Armand and Daniel had any sexual tension, either in 1970s or present day? But I knew that she would have been pissed because she probably would have been like, that's a spoiler. What are
Yeah.
you doing?
They
But
absolutely
like,
did have
but
sexual tension for
I just
sure
want
in
to,
the
I
70s.
just want to ask her, like, maybe we can like tease that out of her the
Hmm.
next time we chat, or like the next time when we're talking season 3 later, like we can be like, Armand and Daniel, because they have this maker fledgling relationship like Lestat and Louis, I wonder.
We got to ask. We got to get it out
I
of her
know.
somehow.
Yeah, I love it. I'm very excited for Rockstar Lestat, which is where we go next. Viewers, if you have not watched the season 3 teaser trailer, do so now. It will ruin all productivity. And I think that also answers other questions of where Lestat is in the epilogue, because it's kind of clear from the season 3 teaser trailer that Louis and Lestat are not together at the top of season 3, because Lestat is like being a brat about things and is also like writing music with like direct call outs to Louis in the lyrics, and it just seems like he's just trying to continue to get his attention by recording music like he did with recording the song with Antoinette's voice on it.
And I'm here for it.
Yes, absolutely. Well, it's like Louis will write the books, Lestat will write the music, and in both circumstances, it'll be about the two of them teasing each other until they break.
Forever, honestly.
Yeah.
Amazing. I love it. I'm so
I
excited.
love them. Yeah.
Our babies. We have to do something for season 3. We'll have to do something for season 3. Like a joint watch party or something.
Yes.
This just can't be it.
I want to figure out how to do depending, like choose a city and let's fly there, everyone. Please. and just watch it. It'll depend on like if a live stream of the, like, can we like log into AMC and actually put it on like a theater screen, and I can ask like friends who know theaters, but like just like we're having a freaking party
and have a huge part. Oh my God, it'd be amazing.
Yeah, exactly.
I would dress up.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It'll be so good.
I don't know who, but I'd be wearing my Daniel t-shirt.
Yeah. We could do like the season 3 premiere on one coast and the season 3 finale on another coast, and it's like, and then it's like being in a room full of people for the season 3 finale. You're like, whatever happens.
We're throwing it out in the universe. We're throwing it out in the universe so I can catch it.
I have so many wild, unhinged theories that I have been gathering throughout. I have to write them down eventually so that I can like claim credit on them if they ever come true. But now that I know that I can't share them with Chanel, I will have to continue using our group chat.
Please.
But this has been a blast. Thank you for letting me speak for 10 hours or more about
I was just thinking
about this show.
Maybe we'll do a separate episode where we can talk without Chanel because it's her own fault, and we can talk about theories.
Yeah.
Cool. Can we? Because I would love that, because I do have some that like what you guys been sitting on, what I've been I think we should like a theories episode.
We'll do a theories episode.
We should percolate on that, especially before season 3 drops. Yes, before season 3.
Yes, we can do it. We could do it as like a lead up too. Yeah. Possibly that could be fun. But yeah, when we see each other in person next week, we have to force her to watch the season 3 teaser trailer without telling her it's a trailer. It's a Comic-Con exclusive. This is what they played at Comic-Con. Just don't let her see the title. And it's not a trailer because it's not clips, like it's, but I feel like she needs to have the knowledge that Rockstar Lestat is coming, or she'll be like, he's a musician. Yeah.
I don't think it's a trailer. We'll just say it's like an exclusive, like you said. Like
yeah.
Oh my God, I can't wait.
This is great. Thank you, Fiction Fanatics.
Thank you so much for being on this many episodes. We love it.
This has been the greatest joy of my life. Thank you.
There's gonna be more coming. Don't worry, guys.
Stay tuned, everybody. Awesome. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.